Thank you, Daktari, for honoring our invitation, Dr. Kemunto. And thank you for all our volunteers for the great work you did in the field. We have your reports and we hope to see your presentations. And we believe that you are able to impact the people while on the field. So today is a debrief, or a workshop for debrief. We are trying to break down on what we experience on the field, the challenges, the wins, the feedback you got. So it's really, you really don't have to strain yourself. Just be comfortable, share with us whatever feedback you got, whatever challenges we had, so that we can use that to build on future when we are trying to now advance this advocacy. Because for this project, we are trying to educate farmers and get them to move away from caged farming for the sake of our birds. We want them to experience normal behaviors, not to be strained, not to suffer maybe injuries, pain, strain and psychological pain, because when they are caged in a small place, you find that they don't experience all the freedoms that animals are supposed to experience. So today we'll start with we have a volunteer who did Muranga was supposed to start, but we'll start with Mr. Kimemia from Kiambu.
Once again, as I had said, for those who are not there, Carol, you are not there when I introduce myself. Though I know you know my name, it's John Kimemia, and as I said, I'm a food scientist, and I'm happy to have colleagues in the same area in this room. I worked with my colleagues in this organization, that is Utunzi, as a volunteer, and I majorly covered the area in Kiambu, whereby I was following up on the cage-free awareness to the poultry farmers. And I know, as I'm going to share the experience I had, I believe you will keep note on the points that they will be beneficial for us today. So, as you can see, the first slide talks of Utunzi animal welfare. That's where we are. And in this, when I came to these meetings the first time, we had this statement highlighted and explained to us about the welfare of the animals. It encompasses all the areas, the freedom of the animal that helps the animal to express itself and to be free to be joyful. We realize that even animals, they have joys, they have worries, they have fears, depending on the environment they are set in, and that's why we have the organization following up on the same. So I went to Kiambu, whereby I visited several farmers, and in this county, it's among the 47 counties that we have in Kenya. It has 12 sub-counties. I didn't mention all of them here, but I managed to visit Kabete. That is, Kabete is neighboring to Kiamba. And then we have, I also went to Kiamba and Gatudu North sub-counties. So these are the sub-counties I visited, but I realized in the few sub-counties I visited, Gatudu North and Kabete had less of the farmers. Most of the farmers, they are in Kiamba. So I visited 26 of them, 26 farmers, whereby I realized that farmers are very zealous of their work and they are much interested to proceed with farming. We know it's those days we used to say farming is the backbone of our country, is it? Is it still the backbone? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Okay, we are trying to revive that. everyone is working on it to ensure that still the backbone of our country. And this is one of the photos in the areas I visited, and I realized most of the farmers here, they have employed the deep litter system in rearing hens, majorly the layers. I visited mostly layers. And they also practice deep litter and cage free. Okay, it's almost the same with the deep litter, because the hens are not just confined within a given location. And I also realized that farmers have been planning to install cages as they thought of it being modern. You see, as time progresses, there is how you think, oh, this is better. If there's something you have never heard of, and then someone mentioned of it, you think that might be better. And most of the farmers have heard of it, and they were willing to install these cages. And also, they thought that if you have the cages, you see the mode of that system, how it is, it makes the eggs to slide to the lower side, whereby you can just collect the eggs at your own time without having a challenge of broken eggs and such. In that case, I can see, okay, practically I can see it has the reasoning is somehow can be given some points, because I have some few heads, Charles, so I think you should also visit my place. And I have realized that if there is no one within the homestead, you find in the evening you have no eggs, so they broke all of them. But that's what they thought, that it will give a better chance to have more eggs. And at the same time, there is one farmer who told me that she had installed them and thought that this is part of the disadvantage, so they have brought it early. She thought it's less laborious, that in that she will collect the eggs at her own time. But when she installed these cages, she realized that she had to hire someone else to increase the labor because of cleaning process. And also she realized that, you see the lines where the eggs are, so there are several lines. She realized that it's labor intensive because you have to move all through those lines collecting those eggs. And if it's a scenario of cage free, you have just locations where you collect the eggs. So she realized that was a challenge she had not thought of. Now, most of the farmers in Kiambu has not done it because it requires a lot of capital. You have to build the house, you have to buy the cages. You see, buying the cages is an extra cost, which you are not sure whether you are going to recover that money in profits. So some had trying to practice, as I have mentioned, but they abandoned due to waste management. The one I have just mentioned is about the labor intensive, but there is a case study I realized at a place called Kiajogu at Kiaba sub-county, where farmers or a farmer who had practiced this cage system in large scale had to leave that system and think of something else, because he had a very big farm. So the waste from these cages, you see, it's like just the droppings, the poultry droppings with water when you are cleaning them. They used to dump it in the farm. I realized the bad smell from these droppings from the chicken could disturb neighbors even in the other ridge, not just adjacent neighbors, the other ridge, because it's awful, it smells bad, and they had to intervene and follow up with the NEMA, and this guy was requested to stop that system because it was disturbing the neighbors. So that's a case study that I realized that cage system, for those who are practicing it, it has a challenge of waste management.
Good morning once again. My name is Diana Liku, and for this assessment of activity, I was in Machakos County trying to see what's the situation there. I was able to visit 3 sub-counties out of the 8 sub-counties. I was in Machakos town, which is one of the sub-counties. I went to Kariani, and then I went to Kangundo. The rest were a bit far for me because Machakos is a bigger county. So, well, I managed to interview 28 people. So in my interview, I got 28 people, but in the people or the owners of the farms, I only had 9 male owners and 19 female owners. As John, right, said, I also had a similar situation where females keep the birds more than the men. One thing I realized about bird keeping, it requires patience, and most men don't have that kind of patience. Not an attack on any male person. And then the interesting thing here is that most of the owners are about 40 and above. Reason being, people view this thing as something you do after you retire or after retrenchment. It's not something that most young people are looking to do. But I had a case of 2 main youth farmers who now, basically because of how difficult it is to get a job in your area of specialization, found themselves doing chicken farming, actually chicken rearing, and they would say this is the best thing that happened to them. Then in my case studies, I only had one farmer who was doing cage farming or the batching cage system. There are others who are doing it.
Chicken rearing is highly practiced in Nairobi County due to the favorable climate. And during my survey, I happened to visit several places, that is Utawala, Udhiru, and Kasarani areas. And I interviewed around 30 farmers who were able to accept the interview. So the types of chicken reared, okay, they happened to me. We had layer hens. Most of them had layer hens since they were interested in it. Remember, this is Nairobi County, so most of them did not buy it from the shops, supermarkets. So most of them, they were interested in layer hens. And only a few had improved Keneji and the Keneji. The housing systems adopted, most of the farmers used caged systems due to limited space in their homes. Again, this is Nairobi County, so we have limited space. And a few people, I found some few you will see in the picture at the end, who walled a very small portion of their homestead using mesh wire, and they left their birds there during the day. So advantages of the system, these are the advantages I found out. The majority stated that caged system is secure because there is little chance that the hens will get sick. They were saying if you let the birds go in the field, they will come back with diseases. So they wanted their birds to be in an enclosed space. They also got some manure. Remember, it is Nairobi, so some of them had kitchen gardenings, so they also wanted the manure. So the system was applicable for them since they wanted manure for their kitchen gardens, and there was no risk of theft, especially in this area. Theft is very rampant. Some of the disadvantages they gave, again, the cost of feed is very high, and also poor quality.
Go through the presentation, we'll be able to understand why we do what we do, the kind of data we collect, and why we collect it. you've heard my name is Kemunto, and I'm going to take you through the strategies of collecting effective or good data in the field. So first we want to understand what data is and what the process of collecting that data is. If we may define data, data is facts and statistics collected for reference or analysis. And the process or the data collection is a process of gathering information from different sources to find answers to specific problems and questions. So even as you go out, we all didn't go to one farmer. We went to different farmers in different counties. So we put all this information together to answer what we went to the field to do. Senior. So for example, you went to find out the kind of system the farmers are keeping their chicken. Some are doing cage, some are doing depleter, some are doing free range, right? So for you to be able to have that information to go and maybe train a better way of doing things, you have to first know what they need or what is going on, so that you can be able to fill the gaps that you may find during that moment. Okay, so the main aim is to get quality evidence that allows one to produce reliable answers and conclusions, so that you just don't decide to do something just because you think I should do this. You have a justification as to why you're doing what you are doing. So data enables one to make informed decisions, okay, identify gaps, and also understand trends and patterns. There are more things that data does. What have I left out? What could you think of that I've left out? Talk to me. Or maybe you will remember as we go. So this data that we're talking about, where do you get it from? We have two main sources where we get this data from. The first one is the primary data source and secondary data source. Primary is gathering raw data collected for a specific research, and this can be found from a population. What do I mean? When you go to the farms, as you did, you're collecting this data from the farmers themselves. This is now the primary data. This is original data. If there was such kind of data somewhere, you could have not wasted the resources to go there and collect this. Senior. So you're getting the original data for you to be able to make a conclusion out of it. So this is why I'm saying it can be collected from a population. You've gone to the human beings, you're asking them for information on what they do. So you gather that information, and that's data. And then secondary data, this is data collected from a secondary source rather than from the original one. This kind of data can be sourced from online portals, books, and journals that have been already published. You find sometimes people say, I'm doing desktop research. You get to your computer and you want to extract some information from maybe papers that have been published or records, or even you go to the offices and get the files that have been kept there, and you want to extract some information that you need. So this is someone who went to the field someday, got this data and documented it. So you're going to get it secondary. It's not the original data. You're getting it from someone who had done it. This is also done for you to be able to make that decision on what you want to study, so that you don't do something that has been done before. Okay? And they say this is easier, just getting to your computer, getting the records and getting this data, and cheaper method compared to the primary data collection. It's cheaper because you don't need to get out of your comfort zone, go to the field, walk through the different farms getting this information. So that the original or the primary source tends to be a bit expensive because of the resources you have to pump in for you to get this information you're looking for. So we now know where we get this data from, and then there are different types of data. Are you familiar with the two different types of data? For example, the data you went collecting, was it qualitative or quantitative? Yes? Quantitative. Qualitative. Sorry?
I think it was kind of both.
Both? Anyone else? Okay, let's define what the two mean. Quantitative data can be expressed as a number or can be quantified. It is easily responsive to statistical manipulation and mathematical calculations. The research questions are closed-ended, and the answers can be easily turned into numbers, graphs, or tables. So quantitative data is something you can quantify, something you can calculate. Let's say it's numbers. Like you go to the field, like someone here was asking, when you went, how many farmers did you visit? Maybe you say 10. Out of these farmers, there were 5 females and 5 males. Out of the 5 females, 2 were youths, you see. So this is something you can calculate and come out with tables, graphs, and all that. So these are some of the examples.